Ladies and gentlemen around the globe, welcome to our fourth session of Connecting Ports, the talk show that bridges continents and links ports, terminals and the hinterland, while embracing varied perspective of one focused topic. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we are very happy to be back together with you. My name is Christina Prieser. I'm economist and associate partner at HPC Hamburg Port Consulting, and I'm honored to guide you through today's session. Broadcasting live from the heart of Hamburg's historic warehouse district, we are here to initiate meaningful discussions on contemporary topics. Debating what matters is our guiding motto. Since you, in front of the screens around the world, invest your valuable time with us, your opinions certainly matter. So your active participation is essential for this talk show. Feel free to engage with us through the chat, sharing your thoughts, questions and ideas on today's captivating topic, and together let's gain comprehensive understanding of its significance. So please make sure that you view Vimeo in the full screen mode, because otherwise you can't access the chat. So thank you very much. So today's topic deals with artificial intelligence, which is revolutionizing the way ports operate, presenting vast opportunities to optimize processes, boost efficiency, and trigger innovation. In this session of our talk show, we turn our attention to the pivotal role of startups in the rapid expansion of AI technology within ports, and talk about how startups scale up AI technologies in ports. Ports are complex and dynamic environments that handle large volumes of cargo and require seamless coordination among various stakeholders. Artificial intelligence can help optimize these operations by automating certain tasks, providing real-time insights, and enabling predictive analytics. Today, we want to provide a better understanding of how AI startups can help the port industry to master today's and future challenges. As artificial intelligence is a young and dynamic field, startups are at the forefront of driving innovation and spearheading the adoption of AI solutions. Today, we explore the motivations behind their business models, unravel their unique approaches, and shine a light on the advantages startups have to overcome reservations and fears associated with a still relatively unregulated technology. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today are three remarkable AI experts who have made significant contributions in the startup scene, not only limited to the port industry. We welcome Alois Krtil, the CEO of AllRead, Artificial Intelligence Center Hamburg. With his visionary leadership, Alois has been at the forefront of developing AI capabilities across industries in the Hamburg region. His profound knowledge and strategic insights in different sectors will guide us through the advantages that AI brings to the table, paving the way for reshaping the future. So thanks for joining us today, Alois.
Thank you.
Next, we have Adrian Landman, the COO and co-founder of AllRead AI based in Barcelona. And Adrian's expertise lies in employing the power of AI technologies to optimize port operations. His innovative approach and understanding of AI will provide valuable perspectives on driving efficiency and unlocking new possibilities in the industry. So great to have you with us, Adrian.
Thank you very much.
And certainly, last but not least, we are delighted to welcome here in the studio Stephan Piworus, the Vice President Europe with AI. With his roots in the maritime industry and deep expertise in applying high-end technology, Stephan is set to bring valuable insights and knowledge to our discussion. So very warm welcome, Stephan.
Thank you.
Before we embark on engaging conversation with our guests, we have a little video treat in store for you. So please stay tuned. The video provided a good introduction to the subject, I think. And it is also surprising how many people have not yet heard, for example, of ChatGPT. So actually this caught me by surprise. And speaking of which, also regarding our topic, ChatGPT does have the ability to astonish us with information. So we have asked ChatGPT 3.5 about AllRead and atai, and the answer was, I quote, "As of my knowledge cut off in September 2021, I'm not familiar with a company named atai or AllRead. It's always a good idea to conduct a thorough internet research or reach out to industry experts to gather the most up-to-date information about specific companies or organizations." So I say, let's follow this advice of the artificial intelligence by asking the people in charge here. So first, Adrian, you founded your company in 2019 and have been active in the port industry since 2020. Can you quickly explain what AllRead is about and tell us how was your start in a global industry that is considered conservative and was at that time characterized by lockdowns due to the pandemic?
Okay, yeah, first of all, if you follow up the answer of ChatGPT and you tell ChatGPT, of course you know AllRead AI who works with ports and OCR, then he will answer, oh yes, I apologize. Now I know AllRead is a company that does this and that. I promise. You can give hints to ChatGPT when he doesn't give the right answer, and I'm probably sure he'll do the same with atai. So about AllRead, we are a software company based in Barcelona, and we are dedicated to developing software of traceability of assets for gate in, gate out of ports and terminals through road, rail, and crane. So basically, we use the existing camera infrastructure to detect anything that gets in and out: a container, dangerous goods, a wagon, truck. And deliver the clean data with maximum accuracy to the terminal operating system in real time. And about our beginnings, well, actually, it's a bit specific because we're not the typical company that starts with a problem that it wants to solve. We started with a solution. So we are from the company was born in a university with an algorithm that could read very well. And so we thought about what we could do with that. And we questioned a lot of industries. We went to the automotive industry, pharmaceutical industry, a lot of industries. And actually, we ended up specializing in the port industry because we discovered that that's where we could bring most value with our AI technology. And so we came from a solution, found the problem, found that the problem is urgent, that it's monetizable, that it relieves a real pain of our clients, and we started working on that. And the welcome was quite good. We started with 3 ports, Algeciras, Bilbao, and Valencia in Spain that opened their doors to us and let us try things out. I think we happened to start in a moment where there was some innovation dynamic. People were starting to invest in innovation, having innovation managers inside the ports, innovation hubs, and that gave us quite a warm welcome, to be honest. And COVID, actually, after a small period of time of uncertainty because it was a massive shock, it quickly became a promoter, actually, of digitization. And so it accelerated, actually. First was an accelerating element because people noticed the impact of having people unavailable and of the need of automation.
Thank you very much for introducing us to AllRead. And I wonder what the market entry with AI was like, Stephan. Did you have similar experiences to what Adrian just described?
Yeah, I think it's pretty the same. First of all, I think Adrian maybe they used the free version of ChatGPT. Maybe that was the issue. But anyhow, you can also see that I think with Google it's also easy to find us. But it's interesting to see that at least if you compare the free version with Google, that still Google is a little bit better in finding different things if you investigate. So saying about similar experiences, we started a little bit earlier, end of 2018, and our idea was also to look at artificial intelligence and looked at different industry sectors. At the end, we realized that after investigating or exploring the different industries that in the supply chain, we saw the biggest potential, and there especially in the ports industry, but also in warehouses. And with COVID, I think COVID that started something 2019. That was a tough time for a startup, and I think Adrian, you had probably also the same experience. But we took the best out of it. So we were able to be on site in India. This is where we founded our company in Hyderabad. And we were able, with special permissions, to get the on-site experience. So that was good. We were trapped due to COVID. But on the other hand, it was good that we were forced to be trapped because we learned it really on-site. We learned the issues, the problems, and were able to develop a solution out of that. In the meantime, nobody speaks about COVID anymore, of course, and we're now, after several installations and experiences in India, we opened our offices now in Hamburg just recently, as well as in Rotterdam, and we also have an office in the USA. That's a little bit how we started, right? But I see a lot of similarities to the way that what Adrian explained to us.
Right. Thank you very much. And so let's go a little bit into the solution you are providing. So Adrian, you mentioned already some of the points you're tackling. And can you give us a bit more on the typical problems you solve with your suggested AI solutions?
Absolutely. So it's critical for ports and terminals to control their ins and outs, to have proof of condition of the containers and vehicles that get in and out, because once it's under in their facilities, it's under their responsibilities. And there's massive value being shipped and transited through these platforms. And actually today, more than 95% of the players in the industry do not have access automation solutions because they're too expensive, because they're too depending on hardware, and therefore suffer from latencies, from bottlenecks, CO2 emissions, and of course an impact on operational efficiency. It's critical for the ports to have the maximum throughput because that makes the port attractive for any shipping company to transit through this specific terminal. So what we provide as a solution is based on computer vision and deep learning, a software that's easy to install, that connects to the cameras at gates, roads, trains and cranes, and immediately process the data and deliver the results in the terminal operating system. The differentiative element here is the robustness of the software, which makes hardware quite redundant, making it way more cost efficient and therefore accessible, affordable, democratizing access automation for ports of all sizes.
Thanks, Adrian. And which value does your solution bring to the industry, Stephan?
Yeah, I think it's all about to increase the throughput, to decrease OPEX costs, bring down carbon emissions, but also to increase safety as well. I think these are the crucial points at container terminals or in ports in general. And what we also have seen is that you have in a ports environment, you have many systems in place, or terminal operators have many systems that don't play nice together. So for us, it was important to have a holistic approach. What Adrian also mentioned, so we look at the gate, we look at the quay site, the rail, we look also at the yard or even in warehouses, so that we look from a holistic approach to the terminal and to see where we can optimize it. And I think the value is also that we, from the beginning, that we said, look, we want to have edge computing. Adrian was already mentioning latency. I think this is a crucial point because when we talk about AI, we also want to talk about real time. And so edge computing is one of our strengths. And the accuracy, what Adrian also mentioned, so we guarantee 99% plus accuracy, and you can measure this. I think with other solutions, it is sometimes difficult and tricky to get the KPIs and to get the measurements of a solution. Here. We just put it in our SLAs, and it's, I think for a customer and also for us, it's great because you have all transparency in such a solution, what the outcome is.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. So, and now, Alois, what about other sectors of the industry? And what can you tell us about which industries are early adopters from your point of view? And who knocks on the door of the Artificial Intelligence Center in Hamburg most often? And where do you see AI is most valuable in these sectors?
Yes, so from my perspective, AI differs in B2C and B2B environments. And when we're talking about ports or about different applications in critical infrastructures, then you have to think about a lot of consequences you're facing when you're dealing with statistical models. And on the one hand, that's of course crucial, and it's a limitation because we have a lot of like hyped AI development cycles that were bringing us, for example, transformer models or diffusions. And in the first place, it was not meant for the B2B usage. So there have been a lot of experimentation around the world with such models. I mean, in developing some texting things and applications that were not in the heavy, or let's say heavy industry. And right now we are seeing more and more AI coming really into this critical environments where you have to cope with things like governance of data a lot more and in depth, and about robustness, and about to really make the system secure. But are a lot with okay. I'm still online. Okay, with pattern recognition, for example, or anomaly detection, And of course, with things or applications like condition monitoring systems and real-time system to gather more insights about the environment.
Thank you very much, Alois. So I would like to remind our audience that we of course rely on your input here, and you're welcome to give us your questions and ideas or comments to our guests, and so please write in the chat, and as said before, please use the full screen so that you can actually see the chat.
Maybe ChatGPT already answered all questions.
Who knows? Exactly. It's said that startups bring new perspective and agile approaches to problem solving into established industries. But don't you first have to develop an understanding of the processes and operations before you develop the right solution? So let's go to Adrian. What is the refreshing element that you bring in, and how do you manage to build trust within a short time?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a relevant question for us, given we were not born in the port ecosystem. So we could not solve a problem if we did not know it. And we're not familiar with the processes and the integration issues and well, everything that's around the implementation of a technology. So it was a learning process that happened through partnering up with ports and terminals, which we're quite grateful for, and which continues actually, because like for instance now since 1 year we're working with the automation of cranes, and that's a project that started in Innovation Harbor Cologne. So the innovation hub of HGK, which opened the doors and proposed to do a common project. So this is a constant innovation learning process that we initiated, started tracking containers, and then first for road, then for rail. Then we noticed there were dangerous goods. Then we noticed that to integrate, we needed to comply with certain rules. So it has been a long process of 3 years, a learning curve. The refreshing element is beyond the fact that our agility and speed boosts, I think, an industry and collaboration within the industry, and also this approach of putting the muscle in the software and in the intelligence, and not in infrastructure or in hardware. That's, I think, something that's highly appreciated by our clients, making it way more upgradable, updatable. The constant learning of algorithms somehow reduces obsolescence, meaning you install something and technically you can just constantly improve it or adapt it if there's a new rule or a new process that needs to be included in the operation. So I would say that's the refreshing part. And about the trust, time and people who took the risk. You have these always early adopters, and then you have the rest of the people who are some early adopters. Sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky. I think we arrived at a good moment in time where people were aware that they needed to listen to startups, to AI, to new technologies, and to include them in their process without really knowing what would get out of it, but freeing some budgets to try. And based on that, we built the trust with other clients, and now we are with close to 40 ports and terminals in Europe and Latin America. So now that I wouldn't say the trust is built, but at least some of it has been built.
Thanks. That sounds already quite impressive, and I also saw Alois nodding to what you said. So, and for Stephan, did you encounter any reservations on the customer side, and what are typical obstacles you have faced here, and what would you say is the fresh elements that AI is overcoming with your solutions?
Yes, of course. I think there are two things to it. Obstacles and reservations naturally come with every startup. in this industry. It's a conservative industry. I've worked in this industry now, or I'm working in this industry now for 17 years. I was even working on the other side, so working for a terminal operator and dealt with startups as well. And so it is definitely tough for any startup. The other thing is that AI is also something where we see any startup in connection with AI, we have a lack of sufficient success stories so far. So it's a new technology, more or less new technology in the ports industry, and there are not many success stories. So Adrian is working on that, we are working on that, and hopefully we soon have more and more success stories. And the other thing is you have a fear, or there is a fear of total disruption with AI in the ports industry. So not seeing the potential, but more seeing the risk at the moment. And also like what you mentioned earlier, that there's not so much knowledge about AI in the industry, so that you have maybe a wrong picture. So these are the obstacles that we are facing. And also with startups, or in connection with startups, and I think it is also a question of how can they service us then. It is a startup and we work 24/7. And we put a lot of focus on the service, which is very nice with AI, because I think you can serve customers much better compared to other traditional solutions. And I have also seen solution providers out there who have been out there for 15 years or whatever, who have not a good service, and terminal operators, I guess, know what I'm talking about. So it's not a matter or a question of how long is this company in this industry. It's more about the concept. How is your concept, and how easy is your concept to maintain, to service? So I think that's a little bit also already the fresh element. And the other fresh element is what I mentioned earlier, edge computing, to have edge devices on site in order to have a very low latency. And that is definitely the fresh element, as well as that we're offering OpEx models. So we say, look, you don't have to spend a lot of CapEx, just go on with a pay-per-use model, which makes it much easier for a terminal operator to make the decision to invest in such a solution. And where we also say, look, we sit in one boat, we're very transparent. Here are the key performance indicators, and if you are growing, we are growing as well. So it's a closer relationship.
Okay, good, excellent. So I just see we have a question from the audience here, which goes to Adrian, and it says there are gate control systems in place in big container terminals. So what's the added value to traditional number plate or wagon number recognition, respectively damage control based on line cameras, etc., that your AllRead solution brings in?
Thank you for the question. So specifically, the fact that there are gates that are quite costly and hardware extensive, we developed an access control solution that needs less hardware, less infrastructure, is easier to install, to possibly to move and choose any tracking point or control point in the port. So by reducing this dependency from hardware, we free our clients, the ports and terminals, from the technological and financial limitations of the existing OCR solutions, by making it affordable and easy to install. So basically, we do not need to create the perfect conditions to be able to control ins and outs. We can use any camera positioned at the right place, process the images in real time, and deliver the right result. And so basically the return on investment, which is a key element here, is a differentiative point. You can also see it in cranes. the automation, OCR automation of cranes rely on robotics, which are amazing solutions that follow the containers up and down. By being able to spot the container, its code, and extracting it in any position, in any place in the image, it makes us way less depending on massification of hardware to control the environment. And that neural networks and transformers, which give this power to the interpretation of images. Thank you.
This is exactly also what Adrian said. I think this is a very simple AI solution, so to say, but here to reduce the hardware cost by using, for us, for example, we use just cameras off the shelf, no sophisticated cameras. This brings down the costs significantly, and then at the end, I think it's all about the detection rate. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. So at the moment, we have a question here for Alois, which is going a bit a step back and asking what is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning. So our visitor says he feels a bit sometimes that these are confused and understands that machine learning is to be a subset of AI. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true, but it's a good question or a good remark, because it's a bit puzzling and confusing, because there is not really a worldwide standard how to coin the verbs and the terms, and so it is artificial intelligence, and then part of it is machine learning. That's the basic understanding right now.
Thank you very much for this clarification, Alois, and we stay with you. So getting a bit out of the discussion and looking at the startups on the product side. From your experience, how long do the development phases from idea to prototyping generally take, and why is it often so difficult to get past the prototype phase?
So from my experience, it's very often the fact that the prototyping phase doesn't end really. And that's a big challenge then, because you are stuck in a ongoing prototyping process. And so it's sometimes hard to say, okay, well, how long does it take to have version 0.9 or something like that? But what we see is that the startups that are, for example, right now dealing with generative AI, so not rule-based systems and not legacy AI, but really the new paradigms, that they are really fast because they are, for example, building on foundation models, and this can reduce the build times up to 50%. So we have some startups that are engaged at our artificial intelligence center that were ready to develop the first version of their products in about 4 to 6 months.
Thank you. So Stephan, you were smiling on that, so you like a quick comment on the same issue?
No, I think in terms of prototyping, or you say endless prototyping, so what we see very often with startups is that you try to have a very quick approach, quick prototype, try it out and then see, okay, what fails, and then it can continue, for a very long time. But I think it is very essential that you understand the business processes, its stakeholders, the environment, because in a terminal environment, for example, is a very harsh environment, and by nature you have, wherever you are, you have harsh conditions, and if you develop a solution in a laboratory environment, and then you go out there and then you detect, let's make a very simple example, wow, there is sunrise and sunset, and I use cameras, and then the sun is just, it makes it impossible for me to get any recognition. Little things like that, but even more complicated things that are happening in a terminal environment. So that's why I think it's very crucial to understand the business processes. So this combination is very important. This is also frustrating. If you go out there and you need resources from the terminal, and then it can be very frustrating.
Thank you. And it's also interesting to compare the duration and challenges of product development using AI technology with the rapid speed with which AI technologies are developing. So how does AI's systematic approach, which you call the AI way, fit in with this speed and scalability?
Yes, so the AI way, we define it the following. So to me, it's a consultative approach, and I think this is important, not to have a product. We have a solution, and with the solution, we have the AI way. So that means the first step is to define key business goals. Very important. So what do you really want? Not I want a gate solution or I want a crane OCR. So what do you really want? What do you want to achieve? So to have a proper definition here. Afterwards, we just look at, and this is the second step, we look at the as-is process to really understand what's going on there. This can be also some kind of eye-opener. So it's like typical consultant work, right? And after that, we create a heat map in order to prioritize. So it doesn't make sense to tackle things where we don't see a lot of impact, because we also want to have a project where people see, wow, this is really beneficial to us. And afterwards, I think these are then normal steps. So you start with a pilot, and then you go into the project execution, and then to the rollout. But then there comes something different in place, and that's the continuous learning. And this is the beauty with AI, that you have continuous learning. If you compare this with other solutions, you don't have it. You have a product, and then you have a roadmap, maybe a product manager, and this is how you improve your product. But here you have automatically a continuous learning. And this is the AI way, so I would call it a consultative approach.
That's, good to hear, being myself a consultant, so I like it. And I also saw Adrian nodding on that, so I guess it's a similar idea or similar approach which you are following, so do it in a consultative way. So going a bit towards the technology, Adrian, what type of AI technology is used in your solution, and how do you keep up with the evolution?
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to say that I totally agree with what Stephan just said about the importance of processes and of deployment. So it might be a bit weird coming from a technology company founder, but I think technology is overrated somehow, because there's a big gap between technology and production, and technology and product, or technology and putting into production. I've underestimated, as an entrepreneur, I've underestimated this long way, between what works in a, I would not say laboratory, but even in a pilot project, when you start something and you have amazing results, but then suddenly the client says, okay, but there's also this case and that case and this exception, and then there is the rain and the snow, and then there is this terminal operating system or this type of connectivity, or he wants edge devices or centralized server or cloud server. So the importance of deployment, of compliance, of incident management is absolutely key, and this is something obviously that the startup learns when it gets to a certain maturity, and which our clients have been requiring from us since 2021. So the fun part ends at some moment, and you have to deliver upon the expectations of operational directors, of terminal managers, which are are not joking around with the high availability of a solution. So about the technology and how we keep up with the evolution. Well, first of all, we are lucky because we have very strong ties with the Computer Vision Center of Catalonia in Barcelona, which is one of our, let's say, co-founders, let's put it that way. We have 2 PhDs in the company, and we're financing 1 PhD actually as well, which does research for us. So we're really, the CTO is a PhD, by the way, and he has implemented this culture of innovation and of being on the edge, constantly on the edge of computer vision and deep learning. So we do traditional computer vision techniques. We do we develop deep learning models with neural networks, and we are tackling as well now the transformers. So the importance of not relying on our assets and on some established products is a key element of our philosophy. Working on our products, delivering them with the highest excellence is one thing. Continuously looking for improving them, making, for instance, our algorithms lighter, so they require less processing capacity. Stephan talked about edge devices. Well, edge devices are quite small devices, and so technically, if you have a massive algorithm that needs to be calculating, you won't be able to use these devices. So it's very important to reduce the consumption of CPU or GPU, and this is something that's continuous. A continuous development of your product.
Okay, thank you very much. There are dropping in questions from the audience, so I take them step by step. So first, a quick answer to this one. I give that to Stephan here. How difficult or easy are the integration of the applications to the ecosystem that have the ports with different terminal operating system brands and other systems in place?
I think, first of all, to say very quickly, the TOS is essential, and it is essential to have an interface. I call it a little bit, it reminds me sometimes of Exhibit, Pimp My Ride, and we say Pimp My TOS. So with our data, we pimp up the TOS, and because we can deliver just real-time data. So in a nutshell, the TOS interface is essential. So the question, how difficult it is, it is not that difficult. We have the experience because for every project we have the TOS interface, and for the major TOS providers we have the experience, and also we're part of TIC 4.0, so we want to make it even easier. I hope everybody is familiar with the TIC 4.0 initiative, where also all the major TOS brands are members. So it is not very complicated. It's part of our job to organize that.
Okay, excellent. And so we have heard the keyword real-time decision-making being very important for artificial intelligence. So this goes to Alois. The ARIC has joined project with representatives from the port industry. And how can AI, from your point of view, help ports and terminals to make good business decisions?
We've heard a lot of examples from the past, from our discussion or in our recent discussion. Maybe to add some additional aspects, I think that developments in terms of autonomous assistants and bots, so to speak, in terms of technology side, the conversational AI applications will be, I think, also there will be major breakthroughs, for example, in the communication processes of the involved parties, because this is also responsible for a lot of errors, as you probably know, in any processes. And so making these kind of communication processes more automated or supported by virtual assistants that run 24/7 and things like that, I think that that there will be also some great achievements in terms how to optimize the communication. So just to add some more examples where AI and especially transformer models, for example, will have a really important part.
Thank you. That sounds very interesting. And also in the fast-paced port environment, real-time decision-making is crucial, as you mentioned before. Stephan, how does your AI solution enable timely and accurate decision-making to optimize port operations and improve efficiency and sustainability?
Exactly. So I mentioned earlier already the concept, our concept with edge computers. Edge computers have the beauty that you just do the calculation just where you need the calculation. So you don't need to send huge amount of data into the cloud and then send it backwards, which increases the speed significantly. And the reason why we do this is we have the experience, our company has an experience in chip design, CPUs, and that is something what we have started from the beginning in our concept. So this brings down the latency and increases the speed significantly. And this is one of our I think unique features that we do, because at the end, as you said, real time is crucial. You don't want to wait for any decision. You don't want to lose time. So I think this is probably the most important feature that we have in our concept.
Yes, absolutely. Adrian, would you like to add something about how AllRead promotes decision making? Quick summary.
Yes. So when you're speaking of I hear some echo, but I'll continue anyways. If you speak about the gate control or access control, of course, you don't want to slow down your throughput and you want things to be fast, right? So if it's about controlling the correct association of the right container with the right truck, or it's about deciding that the crane operator is handling the right container and loading it on the ship, the output of our solution allows an immediate decision of opening the gate, of loading the containers. This is a very down-to-earth answer to the question. We have another project that might be interesting, maybe not so much real time, but more about data analysis. In the port of Barcelona, we're working on a smart gates project where we identify and classify everything that gets in and out. So meaning if the truck is loaded, if it's a tanker, if it's a container, if there are two containers on the truck, if it's a motorcycle, if it's a Mercedes class A or B or C, well, going really into detail of each vehicle, and so to calculate possibly the CO2 emissions, and afterwards, I think using the big data, possibly taking some decisions about the managing the traffic inside the port facilities. So that's some very concrete examples of decision taking that we implement.
Perfect, great. So we have a number of questions here from the audience. So maybe to Alois first. So you have your experience also from other sectors, but and how would you estimate the chances of success in terms of reducing inefficiency and thus cost savings? And in that regard, maybe also how can AI provide us with useful KPIs more than the traditional KPIs that generate from, then again, port operations? Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting topic. So AI-generated KPIs. There is some research going on in the areas where you just take AI systems to recognize some patterns or anomalies and things like that, and then try to build up different types of KPIs. And it's a stepwise process where you have to understand the use case, but where you also rely, or not rely, but you use AI to somehow better monitor the system complexity and to take it down. And if you would ask, how can AI improve efficiency and costs? I would say it will be a major enabler for cutting costs up to, I don't know, maybe 50% if you're really in a legacy-based environment. But it goes up to, if you are looking not into B2B environments, but B2C use cases, then it's up to, I don't know, 90%. And so we are not talking about some puzzle, but really about big numbers. So this is what we've learned over the past years from the different sectors. And of course, there are some sectors where it's where these kind of achievements are much more bigger than in others. But I think that all in all, it's a really huge potential.
Thank you. So we have one question here, which I give to Stephan. And so far we have spoken mostly about using AI in the track and trace environment. What other potential uses are there, and how do we develop these? For example, resource allocation or identifying where other new technologies could be needed. You have any ideas?
Yeah, of course, we have a holistic approach. What we see right now is that terminal operators mainly look at crane OCR or gate OCR, but of course resource allocation, that's something you get the KPIs out of our data, out of our solutions. What we also offer, or what we have done and installed, is the yard, to know the yard location, to know where your container is in the yard. So from that, you can also optimize your work orders. But of course, there are different types of application that you can do. We're open to that. But so far, there's not. Let's say the demand is not so big with other solutions.
Okay, right. So we hope we addressed your questions. And so, in the port industry, we always think that our problems are so unique. Well, today, and we have already learned a lot about artificial intelligence and how it is to identify suitable fields of applications. So, Alois, tell us, is the port industry really so unique, or are there overlaps with challenges in other industries?
Yeah, I mean, there are, of course, overlaps, and when it comes to like basic principles, for example, how to analyze a lot of data, we spoke about real-time ability of systems, about hardware developments that are energy and cost efficient, and things like that. And you will see a lot of applications, for example, that are really close by in smart city. In the smart city development. So a lot of AI applications that could be used in ports for example, condition monitoring, are also being used in smart cities, for example, for traffic or for critical infrastructure and things like that. And I think that one aspect that connects a lot of use cases that are really like B2B heavy, or in the B2B heavy industry, is the fact that cybersecurity and AI solutions need to work together, and because a lot of things are going up in cybersecurity environments and developments there, and so we have to think both domains that are like converging and that need to converge in order to secure the infrastructure.
Thank you very much. So coming to the big issue of data security, Port operations involve a lot of sensitive data, including, for example, vessel movements and cargo information, customs data, operational data, and so on and so forth. So, Adrian, how do your solutions consider data privacy, security, and compliance with relevant regulations?
So first of all, we thought when we launched, we started working with ports that we would be a cloud-based company, and we are absolutely not. So cloud has been completely discontinued, and we install our solution on premise. So inside the servers of the client, a virtual machine, on edge devices, but inside the control of our clients. So meaning the massive data flows of videos and pictures stays inside the facilities, inside the security framework of the port. So that's the first answer to the question. And of course we are I mean, like any tech company, you need to be compliant with the GDPR regulation. I noticed, by the way, that Germany is even more strict than the European regulation, plus with some specificity with each region, which makes it even more fun. But it's something you need to take into account. It's part of the job. And on the cybersecurity level, I think it's a great observation from Alois that it needs to be thought together, AI and cybersecurity. We're currently complying with the national cybersecurity framework in Spain, but we're continuously on the watch. Because from one client to another, there can be higher expectations because they anticipate possibly the regulation, you know. So some terminal operators have had security breaches, and therefore they have increased massively, way beyond legal requirements, their expectations. So as a company, you really need to comply and demonstrate that you can comply to their requirements.
Right, so let's continue and briefly talk about regulations we are having here. So when talking about the recently agreed EU Data Act, which makes more data available for use and set up rules who can use and access what data for which purposes across all economic sectors in the EU, and which applies to both businesses and individuals. So, Alois, to what extent do you think this Data Act will help manage the risk?
So, I mean, it's a good idea to think more about international standards and about things like the reinforced portability right that strengthens the originator of data, for example. And of course, to install more kind of safeguards in, for example, international data exchange. So I think that the vision of somehow data markets that can then build up a critical mass in use cases that if you look at that separately don't have enough data, for example, to train and specify the models, then it's regulations and guardrails are good ideas. But as you know, the discussion is a lot about is it also hindering innovation? And I mean, of course, if regulation comes late or is backward oriented, then it doesn't help. Yeah, but it tries to somehow to somehow manage the complexity of the problems that were that have been that were done in the past. And so you need more of a progressive regulation scheme. So that's my personal belief. And then these kind of regulatory processes like the Data Act or the European AI Act that is in the trilogue discussion right now, then these are good ideas, but you have to prove that it's really implemented pragmatically, and then it really then goes into the direction that helps us, for example, to exchange data in a more safer way and things like that.
Follow-up questions from the audience, which I give to Stephan here. So do you see a clash coming between data protection laws and AI development? And if so, how can these be overcome or avoided even?
I didn't see so much a clash here. So first of all, we have a lot of regulations, data regulations that are already in place for any software installation in a port environment. Anything else or the clashes, probably they come maybe from other angles, like when you have B2C AI or generative AI. So I don't see right now big clashes coming up in the way we use the data on site and for what purpose we use the data, but we're there also in steady contact with our General Counsel, the EU Data Act, you mentioned it. Last week we had a discussion, what is the impact for us? So we always need to make sure that we are on top of things and that's we don't miss out anything. Yeah.
Sure. Very important.
Yes.
Cooperation and collaboration, I think that's a key issue, right?
Exactly.
And that leads us to our final question here to Alois. And so you said recently that a purely technical approach is not enough and will fail due to framework conditions of company and institution. So what else needs to be considered, and how can alliances and partnerships help boost the potential of AI technology?
I think that there are a lot of developments going on in the area of responsible and trustworthy AI, and this is something that goes far beyond regulation and or national thinking, but it's more of an approach how to make sure that the alignment problem we always have in the development of AI systems and making a really good match to the use cases, but also to our challenges that we face as society, that that they go into a good direction. And so I think that if we consider responsible AI principles, then there's a lot of room to collaborate on national, international level, and to make also a step forward into standards that help us reuse, for example, foundation models, large language models, or applications, and also best practices. So for us at the Artificial Intelligence Center, these principles are really dominating right now our work. Of course, we look at or from perspective of legal aspects, from compliance aspects, as well as, of course, from technology.
Thanks a lot. And so we have here one question from the audience, and I would like to give that to Adrian. What is the first step a port should take to adapt to artificial intelligence? Very broad and quick answer. What comes to mind for you?
Actually, AI is a mean to an end. All right. So that's the key, actually. You don't care that it's AI or not AI or digital twin or hardware or software or whatever. I think the most important thing is that you know what you need, right? And in digitization or automation or whatever project it might be, and look for the solutions. And then in the solutions, the providers will be using AI. So actually AI today is like internet a few years or decades ago. It was a topic. Now it's just everywhere. So it's the same with AI. AI is embedded. If I come and provide you my solution of access control, you don't care that it is AI behind it that makes it better or more powerful or whatever. You just want your problem to be solved. So actually, I would recommend to focus on the end game and see AI as a mean to an end, and maybe enrich and force the curiosity on what is out there using AI to automate ports for your general culture. That's my humble opinion.
Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. So we are a bit running out of time here, and but bear with us. We are now closing with our final statements here with our guests. And thanks for watching so far. And I would like to ask each of our guests to conclude by giving us a brief summary of thoughts on the future of port AI and how it is likely to develop over the next 5 years, and how to bring that even further into the port industry. So please, 1 minute per person. And Adrian, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you. So I think that the perfect conditions are assembled or united for AI solutions to move forward and develop more, in the sense that chips and processing power is every day less expensive, more performing, more powerful, so more accessible and affordable for everyone. Big data is always more accessible, affordable, and usable. The complexity of algorithms is continuously increasing while reducing their own consumption of processing power. So there are big trends here that are very favorable to making the AI algorithms always better, more adapted, more easy to use in real life environments. So that's my feeling for the next 5 years, is an acceleration, increasing adoption and democratization of AI using solutions.
Thank you. Great summary. And your final minute, Alois, what would you like to share?
Yeah, I have to repeat some of the points because I really like them. So for me, the future will be about international interoperable data spaces where we have a lot of critical mass of the data we need to build really reliable models. It's of course a big trend of trustworthy AI that is being implemented. So we have a lot of more use cases we can tell really good stories about. We have a lot of more KPIs, maybe also some that are suggested by AI that helps us to better, to better handle all the challenges we have. And I think that also in terms of hardware achievement, there will be a lot more AI on chip architectures out there, and decentralized hardware-based AI.
Great, thank you. And finally, Stephan.
I think I'm very confident and very sure that AI will be the #1 future technology for ports and terminals, the most important one. And also the one with the biggest impact in terms of cost savings, driving efficiency. I think there is no doubt about that, the biggest potential. So I would encourage people to start with AI, and also what you said, Adrian. Yes, at the end it doesn't matter what's inside, but it would be good to understand, okay, here's AI inside, and wow, it's a great tool, right? So that not the fear overcomes the curiosity. And I think you need to start at an early point, also in terms of preparing your stuff with AI, because then there comes also different skills, different requirements in your stuff. You need in the future more data scientists. So start preparing for this, start with your first projects. I think this is crucial. Also, we need mentors. As we said, there are not so many reference projects in the industry. This will help as well. So I'm just happy with anybody who is a mentor in our industry supporting this. These are my 5 cents to it.
Thank you so much indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, our talk show Connecting Ports comes to a close now, and I would like to express my gratitude to all our 3 experts who joined us today. And your valuable insights and knowledge sharing was really vital for providing us all with a better understanding of the AI in our industry. So to the audience, thank you very much for tuning in today, being part of the journey and staying on, although we were over time. but I hope you enjoyed the show, and you are the driving force, and which we saw by the number of questions we had here. So fostering discussions on trends and connections and collaborations within the port industry. If there are any unanswered questions on AI and ports, please contact us and our panelists, and we will work on providing answers, so nothing is lost what you wrote in the chat. This session has been recorded as usual and will be made available shortly via our website hamburgportconsulting.com, together with some material our speakers are happy to share with you. So big thanks also to the production team behind the scenes, and especially the Port of Hamburg marketing team who provided the studio facilities and the technical support. Our next session of Connecting Ports will continue debating what matters, focusing on port call optimization with a view on port community systems and maritime single window, IMO regulation which comes into full effect in January next year. So please join us again on the 4th of October, and I'm looking very much forward to seeing you again all there. So until then, bye bye, tschüss from Hamburg, and thanks a lot again.
Bye-bye.